Welcome, Jeff, onto our success interview here. I am very honored to have you here, Jeff, because you've been rocking it. One of our top students of taking the material, implementing, and having some really substantial income come in, as well as just life overall, right? Changes and shifts. So, welcome, Jeff. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Scott, for having me.
Absolutely. All right, so let's go into it just to let everybody know what is it that you do. Let's dip into your medical sales a little bit. So I get a little background, and then we'll talk about where you were before the program as well.
Sure. So I'm in medical sales. I'm a independent distributor. I represent about 4 to 5 different lines, mostly in wound care, some in spine surgery, and I've been doing it for about 20 years.
Amazing. And, even though you've been doing it for 20 years, it hasn't been taken off as nearly as where it is now, right? So tell me a little bit more before, the course and everything. You were doing super well. Where were you before the program overall?
Yeah. So before the program, a lot of ups and downs, nowhere near the ups that I've had since I've joined your program. I mean, it was decent money, but not not where I knew I could be and where I wanted to be. Um, and so there are times where I worked directly for a company instead of being an independent distributor. And a lot of times companies get bought, new people come in, and I just wanted to have more control of my future. And so before I um, began the program, I decided to have more control of that. And so it was good, but nowhere near the success I've had since I've joined your program.
Yeah. We get that a lot. It's like you've had great career success. You know what you're doing. You have ambition. You've always had the drive and you're out there, but it's like there's this plateau that you hit sometimes. And it's like, what do I do next? What's the blueprint? What do I need to do to really get to that 50K a month, 100K a month style, right? And that's what we were discussing on our first initial calls. Like, what does that blueprint look like? So before, I know you were a big student material, law of attraction, personal development, you were already studying. What was the difference between, like, you got to a spot where you needed that next step, right? So tell me a little bit more your study habits beforehand and how you were feeling and needing some sort of game plan and map.
Yeah, so several years ago, I was introduced by another medical sales rep to The Secret. I'm like, that's kind of interesting. So I bought it, I read it. I'm like, that's kind of interesting, but life is busy and I had young kids at the time and, I kind of like stopped there. And then when COVID hit and I didn't have the opportunity to go into hospitals or doctor's offices because we're restricted, I kind of like, I want to know more about this law of attraction and stuff like that. So I started following people like Wayne Dyer and and then I started following Bob Proctor and that's kind of how I got connected with you. And what I liked is that it went more into explaining the process, the explaining the law of attraction, the universe, the power of vibration, energy, and how we are all part of the universe. We're all parts of energy and different vibrations. And um, so then, then that's how I came to you. And so things started moving as I was studying, but then no one had a program quite like you, or at least it didn't. Um, what's the word I'm looking for? Resonate with me the way your program has.
Yeah. And what was the difference maker? Like, what resonated most about the program? Was it the structure of it, the models of it? What was that click point for you?
I think that it was mostly the process, the structure, um, the being able to explain it to. I mean, because you have, as you know, some people like Neville Goddard are, their books are very deep, um, maybe hard to, I mean, good to read, but hard to put into practice. And what I like about your program is it's very easy, step by step, good explanation. If you have questions, you don't feel stupid asking the question. Um, and you're always, the support is also very good. I would say that's another big thing is the support, like with Sheila and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Because, so much of this is we get into a program and we can lag behind. You log in, do a module, but then you kind of forget about it, right? So you need some accountability and getting those one-on-one calls and having that guidance and support to pull through and practical ways of doing it is so important. So it sounds like, I mean, you've understood the power of law of attraction, and what this was the next level of implementation. So when you were doing more of the implementation, did you notice day to day that you're feeling different, or day to day confidence level, day to day thoughts? What changed first, I guess?
I would say all what you just mentioned. So day to day, waking up, um, feeling positive, feeling confident. When those negative thoughts come into your head, being able to get rid of them. Because obviously, everyone has negative thoughts at some time, and could be in the day. Like you could have a little setback, and like a perfect example is the other day. I have I do a lot of stuff in wound care, as I said, and I deal with a lot of wound care centers across upstate New York. And I had a particular one that has been very kind of difficult to work with. Like they're always trying to find reasons to not use my product, which is kind of amazing because this I'm very fortunate that this product is very unique and it's saving people's lives and amputations. And everywhere I go, they just like I had to call today. Like we love this product. We had someone with a wound for over a year. It healed within 3 weeks. This stuff's amazing. But this one wound care center just called me up and like they just keep pushing back. And so for a couple of minutes, I was like, it got me into a bad mood. But I'm just like, you know what? Just push it away. There's so many more positive things going on. It's only one wound care center. They're not using a lot of it anyways. And I didn't let it affect me for more than 2 or 3 minutes. And that's stuff that I've learned from your program and how to move those negative vibrations or thoughts, to the side.
Yeah. And so many people get trapped in it, right? I mean, you and I both know some people, whether it's family members, friends, people we've come across that something happens like that in their day or morning, and then the whole day or whole week or whole month spirals downward. And they get trapped by scenarios that happen that they don't like, right? So, for example, this one place not saying, hey, Jeff, we want your product. And they're saying something like, I don't know, that could get you down into a low frequency, but you've trained yourself to say, life is present and I can remain neutral. I don't have to be the roller coaster compared to what goes on. So you're staying in a higher frequency more of your day, which you're seeing the result of, which is amazing. So I always give you credit, Jeff, for being that student that you've tried it, tested it, and experimented. That's what you're seeing for sure.
Yeah, definitely a couple of years ago that happened. That would be bothering me for a while and I'd be taking it more personally.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. So it sounds like your process, you started to gain more confidence, belief, and you started seeing some noticeable changes in the income. So tell us some of the big wins. You had a 50K commission month, 40K commission. Tell us a little bit more of the breakthroughs you were starting to have in income.
Yeah, so I probably I started the program last December and right away all of a sudden the company that I'm working with um got their approval for being reimbursement for Medicare and some of the insurances. So they started in January. So in January for that particular company, my commission, I think it was like $6,000 up from like $2,000. And then February, it was around $15,000. And then March is around 20. And then all of a sudden April is 52. And now granted, um, it was so that was the highest, and it's the highest that it's been. Um, Part of it was insurance companies pushed back a little, but now they're all getting on board. So then it was like 46, and then as we got into summer and doctors were taking vacations, again, these are things that in the past I'd be like, what's wrong? What's wrong?
Right.
Now I don't let that affect me. And so we had two shorter months, like in the 20s, but now this month is killing it this month, and just received news that two of the biggest insurance companies in the country are now bringing us in. And so the last 4 months, I think, are going to be huge, back up to the 40s and the 50s, maybe more.
Yeah, absolutely. People listening in might say, well, a company changed something, so that's why you had more income come in, right? But we've all seen it before where a company changes something, or you as a business owner, independent contractor changes something, but still the income level's low. So if we don't match the internal identity shift, frequency shift with the changes of the company, it's not going to matter all that much because you'll still see only the top 1% actually implementing those changes and receiving the benefit, right? Because we'll see a million people out there and they all get the same change, right? There's a lot of people like you, independent contractors, I'm sure, that and distributors that didn't get the 50K a month, didn't get the 40K a month, still only doing maybe 1,000, 2,000 a month. So what do you think
Correct.
the difference? What did you do internally that was just different than others, do you think? Because I'm sure you see that in your industry.
Um, so just to clarify or to back up what you said, yeah. So I'm like top three in the country,
Mhm.
and I think again, so I have the confidence in myself and belief in myself, but then I've seen the product work. I see how amazing it is. So I'm selling something that I believe and have
Yes.
confidence in.
Mhm.
And so when you put those two together, then it's a recipe for success.
Yeah. Following through on the manifestation principles, as long as you're passionate about it, you love what you're doing, you can step into the calling and being able to create this, right? So for anybody else, it could be like, okay, you got 1,000 independent distributors of this. It's only top 5, top 10 really doing something. Yet they all had the same changes in the company. So it's fallen down to your belief in you, the passion you have, the internal work you're doing to still be able to create those big months, which is amazing, Jeff, that you are holder of those principles and implementing, which is great. So,
Well,
yeah,
and again, it's a lot of credit goes to you and your program and Sheila. And, there's times where, I haven't been able to be on all your calls because of how busy I am. Um, I go back and rewatch them, but knowing that I got Sheila calling me in next week or to, to make sure that I'm being accountable to the commitment I made and stuff like that. I think that's a big difference too.
yeah, absolutely. Keeping your feet to the fire kind of thing, keeping you implementing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that's income and business. Did you see any other changes in your personal life? Did you notice anything brighter, better?
Huge,
Yeah.
huge differences. I think I've been married to my wife now for 13 years. We just celebrated a week ago.
Congrats.
And, I think that just this, not that I've always been a positive person. My background, I have my master's degree in psychology. So I've always been a positive person. Um, but I mean, my relationships, not that they were bad in any way, but it's like I was telling my wife we were on vacation last week, and like it's like our relationship keeps getting better and better. And she agreed. Um, my relationship with my two daughters, everything is in my opinion is getting it's more enriched. Um, it's everything is better.
Yeah. Yeah. Overall life shifts. It's like that parallel reality concept where you start shifting yourself, seeing noticeable changes and sometimes you don't even do anything different as who you are on the one side, but everybody else starts reflecting, right? That frequency even more. It's amazing.
I think that, when you're in a high vibration, other people feed off of it. And the other thing I've noticed is that if I'm around negative people, it's like I got to get away. I can't. It's tough for me to be around negative people.
Yeah.
And the other thing, even like we have pets, and um, I think animals can pick up on that even more so than humans. And like I see animals all the time, being attracted or being wanting to be closer to me, if that
Mhm.
makes sense.
Yes, absolutely. They sense it immediately, right? They can sense energy just right there for you. Absolutely.
Yep.
So, so a couple of things that some people think sometimes is like, I have enough time for this program because they're packed schedules, working a lot full time. But really, you're a perfect example that you can work this. You're on the road a lot, you're working a lot, but also still going to the gym, maintaining your personal relationships, doing these things. So, what would you say to somebody like that that says, I just don't know if I have enough time for something like this?
Well, you're right. It's that's you just have to make the commitment now. Like you said, I am very busy, but I make time for on the road. If I can't be on one of your live calls, I'll listen to the taped one.
Hmm.
Um, and you could go back, and if you miss one, you don't have to necessarily see it that day or hear it that day. As long as you are keeping involved in it and reinforcing your program, you'll see benefits.
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, perfectly said. It's just commit to it and say, you know what, commit to it. And then we're going to do a little hand holding, like you mentioned, Sheila, or our accountability success coaches getting on the phone with you, making sure you're implementing. But it's all about the commitment. How committed are you to your growth? Absolutely. So as well said. And one more I have for you as well is sometimes people say, well, it's a lot of money for the program. It's a larger investment in yourself than, a $500 program or something like that. So what do you say to those people that say, I want to invest. I know I need this for me. I'm hitting a plateau. I want to get through this. But the investment can be tough for people to get around. So what would you say for those people out there around money and around investing in yourself?
Well, again, I think that investing in yourself is the best thing you could do. And you guys have, I mean, I didn't have $10,000 to pay you right away, and so you're able to get me into a program where it costs me $500 a month, and that is much more manageable. And I mean, I obviously with the success I've had by buying into the program, committing to the program, $500 is it's not a lot anymore. Yeah, I might have had to in the beginning not do other things, but it's again, you're investing in yourself. You can find $500 a month to take away from other things if you need to invest in yourself.
Yeah. That's perfectly said because you find the way, right? Even if it's like I'm not going to eat out two more times this week, like if it's always okay, we're going to make a home cooked meal, or I'm going to sell some things here, or I'm going to generate another sale, right? So it's in the mind, it's all mindset. I'm going to find a way to improve my scenario rather than come back and say, well, I don't have finances, so I'm going to run from this scenario, right? It's whether you want to really face it, be honest with yourself, and say, what can I do or not? And I think you did that super well. So I guess in conclusion here, Jeff, would you recommend the program or suggest it, overall based on your experience, your transformation, you're just different in you and how you're feeling?
So I've looked at other programs before I came across yours, and there's a lot of different programs out there that are less expensive, um, but they didn't have the process that you have. They didn't keep you accountable the way you do with your program. They didn't. The other thing is that I truly believe that you care about the success of the people in your programs. You want them to be successful because obviously if they're successful, you're more successful. And some of the other programs, like you would pay $100 or $200 and they'd give you the information and then you're on your own with it. That's not the case with your program.
Yeah. Big difference, right? Just having that care and that feeling and support behind you, backing your success. And it's so important. Doing it by yourself, having that independence is great. But if you're not interdependent with coaches, support team helping you, it's life isn't it so vivid. It's not so alive because you don't have those interconnections to keep you accountable. Absolutely. So, well, thanks so much, Jeff. I mean, again, you're a perfect student's material. You're living it by example, sharing your transformation, not only in personal life, but also income, sales, you overall, and so much more. And I know that 100K month is right here. Next couple of months, 30, 60, 90 days, 100%. And we're going to do some great work. Like I mentioned to you, how we do this in the program for anyone listening is we do some guidance points and some things on increasing energetic capacity for wealth, abundance, prosperity, exiting those energy loops if we're stuck in challenges, and what to do about it. So let's get to work on the 100K. It's going to be here real shortly. Absolutely, Jeff.
Awesome. I'm excited.
Yeah. Thanks again. Appreciate it.